Management Coordinator for Neighborhood House, which is a nonprofit organization that's been dedicated to serving families on the west side of Salt Lake City since 1894. Is that right? 1894. That's crazy. I thought, was that supposed to be 1984 when I read it? But yeah, 1894. Their mission is to provide quality, affordable daycare and support services to children and adults based on their ability to pay. Lena manages the volunteer and community partnership programs at Neighborhood House. She has a master's in community psychology, focusing in program development. She has a passion for creating community-wide change through programs rooted in data and best practices. In her free time, you'll find her enjoying nature as an avid skier, rafter, and hiker. And we're excited to have her here today to tell us a little bit more about Neighborhood House and what we can do to help. So please welcome Lena Bain.
Oh, nice. Maybe. Maybe.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, now the question is it going to show what you're presenting? So, try Control P and just make sure it's duplicating real quick, because I have a feeling if. Oh, there we go. All right, you're good.
It's working.
Yay! With a
All right. Thank you all for having me. So, and thanks for the lovely introduction with the baby. Okay, so Neighborhood House, we're actually just located a couple blocks away at 1050 West and 500 South. We have a children's center and adult center there, and then we have another adult center down in Cottonwood. So we're right here in the neighborhood. Oh. And as Angie said, our mission is to provide quality, affordable daycare and support services for both children and adults based on their ability to pay. That last bit means we have a sliding fee scale, so people only pay what they can afford for daycare. Okay. So at Neighborhood House, we provide 55,963 days of care to 551 children and adults last year. We have a wide array of clients. They're primarily low-income folks, but we're open to anybody. It's 95% of families that are low-income in our children's programs, and about 66% of adults in our adult programs. We're ethnically diverse. About 81% of the children enrolled are ethnic minorities. 15% of the adults are ethnic minorities. And for comparison, about 20% of the Salt Lake County population is ethnic minorities. We primarily serve people in this area, although we're open to anybody. So it's mostly the 84104 and 84116 zip codes, so right around here. And these are the zip codes that represent the most economically disadvantaged and ethnically diverse in the area. Okay. What we do. So we have children's programs and adult programs. We have programs for children as young as 15 months old. So we have toddler programs and early Head Start. We have a preschool program for children ages 3 through 5, and that's all day, not like a half-day preschool. All of our programs go from 6:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the evening. And school age, we have before and after school programs, as well as summer programs for kids up through 6th grade. And then our adults, they're open to anybody over the age of 18 who needs supervised care during the day, but it's primarily older adults who have dementia or Alzheimer's and need some supervision. We also have a couple younger adults who have a traumatic brain injury or something like that where they need that supervised care. Why we do it. One of the main financial challenges that families face is affording care for their kids. And it can get to a point where sometimes a parent decides not to work at all because it's cheaper to just stay home with their child. So we're trying to avoid that, or allow families to avoid that. It's also an issue that nearly a third of people caring for older or disabled loved ones end up leaving the workforce as well. So it's a challenge for people caring for older adults too. So we help through affordability, accessibility, and quality. With affordability, the cost of care for both children and adults, as I mentioned, is based off of household income. So it's different for every family, and it's no more than any family can afford. So we consider their annual income and then match their cost of care for what's appropriate for them. One thing that supports affordability is transportation. We do rides to and from Neighborhood House. For our adults, we actually do door-to-door transportation. For the kids, we work with 9 different Title IX schools to bus to and from school. Nutrition. 1 in 7 Utahns are at risk of missing a meal today, but not at Neighborhood House. We feed kids and adults 3 meals a day, a nutritious breakfast, lunch, and a snack in the afternoon. Our kids also get to do a lot of healthy cooking activities. We have a children's learning kitchen just for them to do that in. And you, or donors, support affordability. So it costs about $27.50 per day for a child in our children's programs. And most of our families can afford about $9 a day. So there's a pretty good gap there. And with our adult day services, it costs about $65 per day per person in our programs, and most of them can afford about $37. So we fill the gaps with grants and also with private donations. Accessibility. We're right in the heart of the community that needs us the most, and we always have been since 1894, which is hard to imagine, but we were founded back then by a woman named Emma McVicker, who basically noticed that there were a lot of kids on the west side of Salt Lake during the day that just didn't have a place to be. So she started a free kindergarten. That's what we were in the beginning, was a free kindergarten association. Over the years, we were a community center, and now we focus mostly on daycare. Diversity. Diversity supports our accessibility. So our friends are ages 15 months to 101 years old. And some of them are refugee families from very far away, and some of them are literally around the corner. Each of our programs in our Children's Center are bilingual, English and Spanish. So we have one English-speaking teacher and one Spanish-speaking teacher in each room, so that kids have the option to speak whichever language they're most comfortable with. Quality. We're a leader in education and adult care. Our Head Start recently expanded to 6 hours of curriculum per day because they recognized that it was important for our community. Our preschool program is accredited by the National Association for the Education of Young Children, NACY. So that ensures that we only deliver the highest standards of preschool education. And Neighborhood House was one of the first organizations to see and meet the needs of our older adults, opening our adult programs in the 1970s. And we're currently one of only 2 adult day services providers in Utah that carry veterans assistance, veterans affairs contracts to give assistance to some of our veterans so they pay their bills. Training. We're committed to professional development. Every one of our staff in our adult and children's centers have a day of training once a month. Here's a nice quote. Neighborhood House stands as an example to other adult service providers. And that's from one of our partners, Salt Lake County Aging Services. Okay. We measure success based off of a number of outcomes. A lot of that we use in grant funding and just to ensure that we're actually doing things that work. So we measure success in a lot of ways. I'm not going to read through it all, but we have standards to ensure that we're doing things in a way that's actually effective. And here's a quote from one of our children's program parents. Okay, so there are a number of ways that you can help. You can make a donation. We accept both monetary and in-kind donations. Right now we're doing a book drive. We have a focus on literacy in our children's center. So this year we implemented learning libraries where we have books in every classroom that parents are encouraged to check out to read with their kid at home. If they check out more than 20 in a month, we give them a free book. So that means we need a lot of free books to give out. We have 240 children in our children's center. So there are multiple ways to help with donations, not just with money. You can volunteer. Some of you may be coming to volunteer in a couple of weeks. I believe the date is April 6th in the evening to come help out with our community garden. And if the weather is really crummy, it's still going to happen. I'll just have a project for you all inside so you're not miserable. And if you're interested in more long-term volunteering, you can come see me. I have some info sheets about how you can get involved on a more regular basis as a volunteer. And share. Tell people who may have a child or an adult in need of care. Let them know that we exist. A lot of people know that we have services for children, but don't realize that we do things for older adults as well. So let people know we're a really valuable resource in the community. We're super affordable, and we're here to help. Okay. Thank you for listening so patiently. So I think we may shut down the computer and restart to see if we can get a video to work. And then in the meantime, does anyone have questions, comments? Yeah? Yeah, we do. Did everyone hear the question? About whether we have any connection between our children and adult programs. And we do. We do intergenerational activities about once a week, which usually involves the adults walking over, because one of our adult centers is just across the lawn from our children's center. So they walk over once a week and usually play in one of our preschool rooms. So read books, hang out, play with cars. It's really cute. So yeah, we do try to promote that contact. Yeah? The question was what we're expecting with immigration policies and refugee policies as far as incoming refugees in the next few months. It's hard to say. When the election happened, our executive director, Jennifer Nuttall, released a statement to all of our families letting them know that they're safe at Neighborhood House. We really want them to know that they're supported by us and that they can come to us for help. Because we had a lot of children who were worried. A lot of our younger kids were actually scared about what was going to happen to them and their families, which is pretty real. So we try to just act as a source of support. We have a lot of community partners where if our families need some additional support, whether that's with their child's behavior, their loved one's health, immigration issues, we can connect them with the right resources to get them help. As far as with refugees coming in, I honestly don't think we know what to expect with that. We only have a couple of refugee families. For the most part, a lot of our families are more worried about immigration policies and family members being deported.
So we then spent a lot of time on your medical success. You know, like, is the next generation being served in the sense that through this program it elevates them above the poverty of the family, or like what effect does that have on being able to achieve more?
So the question was about our programs enabling our families to achieve more and to break out of poverty. Is that it?
Yeah, like the ones that the kids who've gone through your program,
Yeah.
are they able to grow up and achieve maybe more financial independence than their parents?
That's certainly the goal. Our mission is to provide quality, affordable daycare and support services, but beneath that, our kind of larger hope is that we can help families break that cycle of poverty. I don't know how many longitudinal studies or data sets we have on exactly how many kids who've gone through our program have achieved those greater levels of financial stability, but there's certainly a good bit of anecdotal support for it. We also partner with a lot of places like AAA Fair Credit to help our families with more financial literacy programs. So if there's something that we can't provide for them, we try to make sure that they are able to find it elsewhere. I hope that sort of answers your question. That's the goal, essentially, is that. But, yeah. Mm-hmm. So the question was about what our summer programs look like. This will be my first summer at Neighborhood House, but from what I understand, our school-age programs really swell. They get a lot bigger. Normally we have 100 kids in school-age programs before and after school, and during the summer, since school's out and we stay in, we have, I think we can fit up to 140 or 150 kids, so we get about 40 or 50 extra children in the summertime. And I think it's a lot of time outside, a lot of field trips. We have an awesome partnership with Discovery Gateway this year where we can go there anytime we want for free. So that's really awesome. We have a lot of programming that goes on just in the summers because the kids are there for more time. So we're probably going to have Bad Dog Arts come in and do science-based art projects. We're going to have a children's learning garden this summer, which will be different. We have a community garden, which you'll be helping out with, but the kids get their own garden this year due to a special grant we got. Yeah, lots of field trips. Race Swami we have a partnership with, so kids get to go to pools nearby and learn how to swim. Yeah, it kind of goes on. And enrollment is open for that, I think on Monday, actually. I think tomorrow. And they usually fill up pretty quickly. We give priority to Neighborhood House families and siblings, and I think they're actually concerned this year that we'll even be able to, like, after Neighborhood House kids and siblings, it'll probably already be full. But that's sort of an issue that we're coping with is capacity. Our children's programs almost always have a wait list, unfortunately. So this year we're actually entering a capital campaign to build a new building so that hopefully in a couple of years we'll be able to expand our programs and meet the needs of the community. No, so our building has actually always been Neighborhood House. It looks and feels and smells like an elementary school. Like every time I walk into work, I feel like I'm at Seacrest Elementary in Flagstaff, Arizona. But it was built for us in 1960, and it feels like an elementary school. It's basically built like one too. It just sort of like miniaturized. Like our library is kind of tiny and our gym is tiny. But other than that, it's very similar. And then before that, we were in a number of different locations, all in the west side, that were actually all demolished when I-15 was built. Yeah, so the question was whether we got help from alumni, kids who'd gone through our programs and came back to help. And yeah, that's actually the case for both our children and adult centers. We have an adult currently volunteering in one of our adult centers who came to us and was at Neighborhood House for a while when he got a traumatic brain injury. So his experience was really positive, and he decided to kind of give back and volunteer after he was well. And then with our children's programs, yeah, a lot of our kids, they age out at age 12, except a couple summer programs we have for teens. But for the most part, they're done at age 12, and I have a lot of kids who are high school age who went to Neighborhood House who want to volunteer. So there is a bit of a cycle there, which is nice.
I think we can get this to work.
Yeah?
Okay, we're gonna try the video with sound here.
It takes a village. Takes caring. It takes vision. It takes families. It takes warm hearts and big hugs. It takes passion. It takes smiles. It takes hope. It takes trust. It takes educators and caregivers. It takes fun. It takes love. It takes you.
Consistent presence for the kids or the adults. It's on. For other volunteer opportunities, we have groups that come in, like you all, coming in a couple of weeks to do gardening stuff. And then we also occasionally have like really enormous groups of volunteers that are usually corporate that come in for like a United Way Day of Caring or Larry H. Miller Day of Service or something like that. So volunteers are a huge part of what we do. They really enrich our programs and allow us to provide not only the quality daycare that we do, but also the affordability aspect is huge. Volunteers save us a lot. So, yeah. She was wondering what kind of volunteers we need the most. To be honest, the committed long-term volunteer is like what I'm always searching for. A lot of times we'll get people who are willing to come in on a regular basis, but it's usually like high school or college students who have like 20 required hours of service for a service learning class. So they come for a semester, and then some of them stick around, and that's something I'm really I'm working on, is that lowering the turnover. But a lot of them, when their course is over and their requirements done, they move on to other things. So getting volunteers in who are willing to stick around for a while, provide that consistent presence and attention for our children and adults is really what we want the most. But all volunteers are appreciated, of course. Oh, gosh. So she was asking about our daycare curriculum. And so the daycare aspect and the preschool are separate in the fact that our preschool is accredited through NACE, which I constantly forget what it stands for. It's like it's basically the national accrediting body for preschools. And we're one of the only nonprofits in the state that's accredited by NACE. So I don't really know, to be honest, the specifics of their curriculum. Our program staff would be much better at answering those questions, but we do have certified teachers. We try to encourage continuing education for our teachers too. So if they get a higher degree level, they get paid more. We pay for their education in some cases. So that's certainly a concern of ours. So, yeah. When you come by, if you want to talk to our preschool coordinator, she would love to tell you, I'm sure. Coming in from the outside, it seems to me like it's a lot of play focused. This year we have a focus on literacy as well. So our daycare is more daycare, but our preschool is a real school.